Donald Trump gets horrible news that will likely significantly hurt his family and his business, and Democrats are throwing a party to celebrate. Joe Biden gets busted for draining military weapon reserves and buying Russian oil to keep gas prices down before the election. Truckers are boycotting deliveries to New York to get back at the unethical lawfare being wielded against Donald Trump in federal courts. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. So thank you so much. I want to thank today's video sponsor, Mr. 1920 Soap, the very best soap on the planet. And I'll leave a link down below. If you use code AMAZING, you get 15% off right away. Last week, former President Donald Trump was ordered to pay $355 million in penalties. They say that he overvalued his properties in order to secure better loan rates in the state of New York and get cheaper insurance. Although if you inflated your stuff, you would pay more, not less, but they're not thinking correctly. Now, if you've been following this case, it's a prime example of political warfare. Not only did New York District Attorney Letitia James campaign on targeting Donald Trump, but the estimated values that Trump provided contained a disclaimer which advised the bank to do their own research. Then, when the courts did their own research, they decided that they were going to undervalue almost all of Donald Trump's assets in order to stick it to him. Now, furthermore, the people who gave Donald Trump the loans testified in court that the banks do their own due diligence. So anything Donald Trump would have provided would have been thrown out, and they would have used their own third-party estimation services. Now, ultimately, Trump paid his loans on time, and everyone was happy, except for the people that hate his guts in the state of New York. But this ruling was not given without massive backlash. Since last week, truckers have been vowing to stop delivering loads to New York to protest what they view as a corrupt government that is illegally going after the president they choose to vote for in the upcoming election in November. They have their eyes open. These truckers are smart. They see that this is absolute garbage and that this is political warfare. Now, the term truckers for Trump has been trending and becoming increasingly popular across all different social media platforms, and more blockades are planned. The drivers have started to protest. Chicago Ray, one of the truckers, stated, "Leave Trump alone with the bull crap. And you know you ain't got crap on Trump, so cut the crap." So basically, these truckers are refusing to take deliveries into New York City. And they've already got so many problems with illegal immigrants taking over the city, taking over the schools, the hotels, and the eateries. And so this could end up being really, really big. These truckers are absolutely furious that the law is being wielded against their favorite president. By the way, I see you guys. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to get back to this, but wanted to let you know that I do see you. Okay, now even for a billionaire, $355 million is a steep bill to pay when most of your money is tied up in physical assets. This highly strict penalty has sparked worry across New York as other businesses wonder, are we going to be next? In response to this concern that's actually getting out of control, New York Governor Kathy Hochul stated, "I think that this is really an extraordinary, unusual circumstance that the law-abiding and rule-following New Yorkers who are business people have nothing to worry about because they're very different than Donald Trump and his behavior. While Hochul may want to convince people this is true, the practice of self-estimating the value of your properties is extremely common. But then you know what else is common? Banks going out and getting their own appraisals and estimations. So I'm hoping that these truckers will actually really stick it to New York. And I'm sorry for the good people of New York that might get caught in the crosshairs." By the way, I wanted to share something with you tonight that has me absolutely furious. As part of my business, I use Bard and I use Claude and I use ChatGPT to help me because I'm basically a one-man show. Well, they are refusing to allow me to do anything that has to do with the elections. They're also blocking me from doing anything that has to do with Donald Trump. So if you don't believe that the social media websites are all teaming up to keep Trump away from the White House, then you're blind to the truth. And I'm here to share it with you. I am furious at these people. But it gets worse for Donald Trump, as they also want to come after Eric Trump, Don Trump Jr., and Ivanka. Now, on top of that, they want nearly $100 million in fees and interest. So it's actually a settlement of $450 million. Now, this figure happens to be the exact amount Donald Trump had liquid. So this Judge Engoron, has targeted Donald Trump to specifically try to take him to zero and bankrupt him, which would damage his family and all of his businesses. In fact, law expert Professor Jonathan Turley said this case will hurt Donald Trump more than any other case because it leaves him on the brink of bankruptcy. Now, it's interesting that New York changed the law recently in order to get Donald Trump. Instead of being able to put down 10% of your appeal while you go through the appeals court process, they want the full $450 million. So if Donald Trump is going to try to defend himself, he's going to have to put up almost $500 million. This is one of the largest lawsuits against an individual in world history. Now, as New York works to retain what little reputation they have left, former President Donald Trump is now advertising his own sneakers in an apparent attempt to raise money to cover these legal fees. During an appearance at SneakerCon, where Trump was cheered and also booed, he revealed a pair of golden shoes, and they sold for $399. There were only 1,000 pairs of the exclusive run, and it sold out in less than 4 hours, which goes to show that there are still a lot of people that want to support Donald Trump. Let me know in the comments, did you buy the $400 sneakers? I know I didn't, but pretty interesting anyway. All right, now this is extremely interesting to me. Presidential candidate Nikki Haley, who is also being funded extremely well by corporate America, has just bashed Donald Trump for failing to publicly condemn Putin's critic Alexei Navalny's death in a Russian prison. For those that are unaware, Navalny died a couple of days ago in a Russian prison under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was related to diabetes, some to starvation, other to beating. The reality is we don't really know. However, many were quick to point fingers at Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump has not issued an official statement, although he did say that he could understand a political campaign going after their political opponent. Now, during an interview with Fox News, Nikki Haley stated, I mean, it's amazing to me how weak in the knees Trump is when it comes to Vladimir Putin, because you look at the fact he has yet to say anything about Navalny's death. Putin murdered him. It's what he does to his political opponents. So Donald Trump, who isn't president currently, is supposed to give an opinion on every single event that happens around the world. However, what's interesting to me is sneaky Nikki Haley is using Hillary Clinton's playbook of trying to tie Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin and Russia. Well, it didn't work 5 years ago, and it probably won't work again today. Hey, thanks DOL the third for the super chat. Thank you so much. Mr. Gardner is the savage Mr. Rogers. Well, I'm not a savage and I'm not Mr. Rogers. That guy was amazing, right? All right. Now, in all fairness, I'm inclined to think that Putin probably did have something to do with killing his political opponent. But again, it's just speculation until we learn more. Regardless of whether the cause was poisoning or malnutrition or his diabetes, the outcome is equally concerning. And I believe that Donald Trump probably should have made a statement because people were asking him to make a statement. Now, Yulia Navalny, the wife of Alexei Navalny, gave a speech and stated, "We know exactly why Putin killed Alexei 3 days ago. We'll tell you about it soon." So they'll be coming out with that. Now, on top of this, when Navalny's mother attempted to retrieve her son's body from the prison, she was denied access, saying that he died from sudden death syndrome, but they believe that it had more to do with suspicious activity. Again, I'll continue to keep you updated on this situation. Now, with Ukraine's war ongoing and the death of a popular opposition leader, will Putin remain the president of Russia? Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, doesn't seem to think so. During a recent speech, Zelensky stated Putin has only two options: to be in the dock of The Hague or to be killed by one of his accomplices who are now killing on his behalf. Even though this may be what Zelensky wishes for, until it actually happens, I don't know that anybody is going to be able to overthrow Vladimir Putin. Now, unfortunately, the war in Ukraine is going exactly how Putin and his allies want it. Just today, it was announced that another key Ukrainian city, Avdiivka, has been overtaken by Russia. Despite losing land, Zelensky has vowed to continue doing anything possible or impossible in order to win this war. However, last year, Russia claimed that some parts of the land they seized is now part of Russia and threatened a nuclear response if reclaimed. In fact, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said that if NATO tries to take even 1 inch of Russian soil, that they will drop nuclear bombs on Washington, D.C., on Berlin, and on London. And earlier today, I spoke with some people that said that they probably would. Now, they're not going to unless they feel cornered or attacked. But either way, it's pretty terrifying if you really think about it. All right, now speaking of Ukraine, this is absolute craziness. Just today, the White House hinted that they are willing to give away all of the reserves of the U.S. military when it comes to long-range missiles if the Senate and the House don't come together and give away more U.S. taxpayer money to Ukraine. Now, I can't stress how stupid this is. It leaves the United States vulnerable and low on self-defense weapons. But then again, I did say that this came out of Biden's White House, so I guess it's really not that crazy. All right, Kitty, thank you so much for the super chat. By the way, you guys don't have to do super chats. I'm happy to bring you guys this news without the super chats. All right, now this is crazy. According to financial news, Russia profited $37 billion last year. The United States, we actually went further into debt. Now, $1 billion of those $37 billion came from the United States of America buying oil from Russia. But wait, you say, Stephen, we didn't buy oil from them. In fact, the price of oil and gas had to go up in order to stick it to Putin. The price of natural gas had to go up to stick it to Putin. The price of all of your food, your goods, your services, your wares, your widgets, your clothing, school supplies, it all had to go up to stick it to Vladimir Putin because it wasn't working to blame it on Donald Trump anymore. So they had to blame it on Vladimir Putin. Well, check this out. The United States bought $1 billion worth of oil from Russia. Now, they didn't do it directly because Biden couldn't blame high inflation on Trump or Vladimir Putin. But the $1 billion came from Russia selling oil to India and India refining that and then selling it to the United States in order to keep gas prices down so that you won't vote Joe Biden out of the White House. So we are all still getting our gas from Vladimir Putin and Russia, but now there's a middleman, which makes it even more expensive. Yikes. You guys can look this stuff up. It's just absolute craziness. All right, over in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has officially defied the Biden administration's recommendations on the war in Gaza. After a unanimous vote, Netanyahu released a statement which read, number one, Israel utterly rejects international dictates regarding a permanent settlement with the Palestinians. A settlement that is to be reached will come solely through direct negotiations between the two parties without precondition. Number two, Israel will continue to oppose unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state. Such recognition in the wake of October 7th's massacre would be a massive and unprecedented reward to terrorism and would prevent any future peace settlement. So they're basically saying, screw you, United States of America. Keep sending us money. We're going to do what we want, even if that includes killing a bunch of people in Palestine. Pretty crazy stuff. All right. Hey, thank you guys so much for joining me. I want to tell you about Mr. 1920 soap, and I'm going to keep this brief. I really believe that this is the best smelling, best feeling soap in America. I love this. They've been a sponsor of mine for 3 years. When other sponsors were dropping me for telling you the truth, these guys stuck by me, and I'll make sure to put a link in the video description down below where if you use code AMAZING, you can actually get 15% off. But this stuff, oh, you guys, it smells so good. And I know that hundreds and hundreds of you in my community are regular buyers from them because they update me on a monthly basis. Hey, thank you guys so much. Let me say hello to a few people. Rob, Lisa, Dustin, Joseph, Charlie, Don, Kelly. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your night. Before you go, don't forget, you are amazing. I really believe that, and I appreciate each and every one of you.